Hey, folks, welcome to Affiliate Nerd Out Publisher Highlight Edition. I am Dustin Howes, here reviewing hand selected publishers in the affiliate industry that are helping brands drive revenue. And my guest today, Craig, CEO of Well Put. And we're going to be talking about Well Put and what you guys do. Welcome to the Nerdatorium, Craig.
Thanks, Dustin. You didn't try on the last name. You want to give it a shot? We'll see how it goes.
I didn't want to embarrass myself, first of all.
Come on, give it a shot. Give it a shot. It's just like it's spelled.
You got it. Swerdloff.
You nailed it.
No way. Oh, first try? That's incredible.
First try. Everybody gets it on the first try. They're afraid of it, but then they try it and they're like, oh, that was easy.
All right. Well, fair enough. Craig Swerdloff, welcome. Tell us about your product and who you're serving out there.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at Well Put. We are the email newsletter sponsorship platform. We service email newsletter publishers, content creators with newsletters, and we also service brands who want to open up new channels and drive new performance and customer acquisition, and who are looking to basically, get into email newsletter sponsorships.
Fantastic. Any particular niches that you guys are in?
Man, we're really horizontal. So we work with brands and newsletters in both B2B and B2C. We work with both in a lot of different categories. I would say our biggest categories are sort of tools for professionals. So AI tools, marketing tools, bookkeeping, tools that really kind of appeal to a broad professional audience. And then on the consumer side, it's a lot of health and wellness, e-commerce, personal finance, or investing. Those are probably your biggest categories.
Excellent. All right. And today we're going to be going through a demo of what brands can expect when partnering with you and what they see from a dashboard perspective and what maybe even the side of the publications, what they get as well. So let's jump in and share your screen and show us what you've got here.
Perfect. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So just quick background. I've been in online advertising since the mid 90s, and most of my career has been spent in the email channel. I was on the board at LiveIntent for 10 years. I was the chair of the IAB email committee back when they had one for 2.5 years. And I've been involved in companies that have tried every different advertising format that's ever existed in the email channel. And about 5 years ago, I saw what Morning Brew and The Hustle and The Skim and Daily Candy and a handful of other newsletter first publishers were doing with their sponsorship offerings inside their newsletter. And me and my team got together. At the time, we were running another business, and we said, man, that's the perfect execution of advertising in the email channel. So anyway, that was the sort of genesis of Well Put. What we saw in the market was that there was a lot of complexity, fragmentation, and it's really difficult for both advertisers and for newsletter publishers to transact around sponsorships. And so that was why we started Well Put. Anyway, this is an example of a newsletter sponsorship. This is one of our clients, Masterworks, sponsoring the Morning Brew. You'll notice there's a headline, an image, and then long form text to really articulate the advertiser's value proposition. These ads are natively integrated into the newsletter content. And what we really love about these sponsorships is that they deliver a brand story to a highly engaged audience in a trusted environment, right? A newsletter they've opted in for. And they really do create meaningful connections and drive full funnel performance, everything from awareness to conversion. So we're big fans. The challenge with buying newsletter sponsorships today is, as I mentioned earlier, it's really hard work and it's risky to test. There are tens of thousands of newsletters out there competing for the attention of brands. And so as a marketer, you've got to find the right newsletters, negotiate pricing and terms and conditions, collaborate on creative. Reporting is inconsistent from one publisher to the next. And so it just takes a lot of hours and kind of brain capacity to manage it all. And also for publishers to sell sponsorships, publishers like the Morning Brew charge a flat fee typically to sponsor their newsletter. I think Morning Brew charges, I want to say it's about $50,000 to sponsor their newsletter, their main newsletter
Holy
for a
cow.
single day.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's just a lot of risk for a marketer, not knowing how it's going to perform. And in fact, we've run hundreds of campaigns across hundreds of newsletters. So tens of thousands of campaigns overall. And, what we found is that on average, only 2 in 10 newsletters will come close to hitting an advertiser's performance goal at unoptimized pricing. Yeah, 2 in 10. So 20%. So therefore, it becomes really critical to test lots of qualified newsletters efficiently and with limited risk to find the ones that can work. And that's really what we designed WellPut to do for brands. We make it very easy and relatively low risk to test lots of qualified newsletters to find the 2 in 10 that can meet an advertiser's performance goal at optimized pricing. And then as we find those newsletters, we scale the program over time through continuous low risk testing. And then with optimized CPC pricing, cost per click pricing, against the 2 in 10 that we know can hit your performance goal on average.
Question on that. I don't mean to interrupt your flow here, but the CPC is an interesting model that's gaining a lot of steam right now. And some brands can find it even more cost effective than a CPA. Have you guys tested the CPA option in the past and migrated into the CPC?
We did. We actually tried to run some CPA offers early on. And what we found was that newsletter publishers were not picking up those campaigns. They just didn't want to run them. And a big part of it is at the time, even today, really, they were charging flat fee. And so the jump from flat fee to CPA is a pretty big one for newsletter publishers to stomach. And then also there's still quite a bit of demand for newsletter sponsorship inventory, both on a flat fee and a cost per click model. And so, newsletter publishers are rightfully hesitant to run CPA campaigns when they can take the more guaranteed, CPC pricing model.
Outstanding. Yeah, I love the middle of the road where both sides are winning in this CPC world. Carry on.
I think it is an equitable solution. The key is, though, you got to figure out what's the right CPC price to pay.
Sure.
And you can't do that in aggregate. It has to be at the individual newsletter level, at least from our perspective. So anyway, we work with over 800 newsletters today to fill their sponsorship inventory. Yeah, it's growing. We're adding about 100 new newsletters every quarter. And we're prioritizing targeted newsletters using AI based on what we know about the newsletter content and audience demographics, and then their fit with the advertiser's target audience. So really trying to match up the right newsletters to the right advertisers based on what we know and based on what AI can pull from mainly from their newsletter archives.
Super smart. Love the big numbers there. They really pop. Now, the publishers themselves, do they have to utilize any certain kind of technology stack to work with you?
What a great segue. No. So publishers literally, they come to our inventory reservation system, we call it, and you can see a picture of it here.
Okay.
So they log in and there they can see dozens of different active campaigns that have been curated to them based on their audience content. And so they can browse those campaigns. If they find something they like, they make a reservation, and then they can choose from different creative templates, the one that most closely matches their styling. They copy and paste that ad content into their newsletter, and then they get paid for the clicks that they generate. So it's really easy for these newsletter publishers to fill any available sponsorship inventory with brands that they're proud to endorse in their newsletter.
Outstanding.
Did I answer your question?
You nailed it. Yes.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to get into sort of the meat of how these campaigns work. So when we launch a new campaign, the first goal is to test several creative templates and lots of qualified newsletters efficiently and with limited risk to find the ones that are viable. And viable means newsletters that can hit the advertiser's performance goal at optimized CPC pricing. So again, we make your campaign available to dozens of relevant newsletters through the platform. And then we limit the advertiser's risk during testing in 3 ways. So first, they set a monthly budget cap for testing, and we can't spend more than that, even for over delivery. Second, they set a max CPC bid, meaning that's the most they're willing to pay any publisher to test their campaign. And we can't pay publishers more than that per click. And then finally, we're limiting the advertiser's spend per newsletter during testing to a fraction of their testing budget. So no single newsletter can spend a significant percentage of their test budget before we know how that newsletter performs and can optimize the CPC rate for that newsletter appropriately. So
Excellent.
those are the 3 ways that we really limit the advertiser's risk during testing. Again, because 2 in 10 on average of the newsletters we test will work. And so we just don't want to spend a lot of the advertiser's budget during testing to find those viable newsletters. But once we find them, as we test, oh, sorry, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I just love the responsibility that you guys take on there, helping both sides of the equation.
Yeah, definitely. There's been 4.5 years of learnings that have gone into this and a lot of failure, right?
Yeah.
A lot of testing that didn't perform well. And so these testing guidelines that we've created are necessary, having learned the lessons that we've learned over the last 4.5 years.
Great.
So yeah, as we test newsletters and creative and measure performance, we integrate, by the way, with all of the major affiliate platforms. We are integrated with Shopify and other analytics software packages. So whatever the advertiser is using, we can typically integrate with to be able to track, funnel events, bottom funnel conversion, upper funnel events as well. And CPC rates are automatically optimized to hit the advertiser's performance goal on average. Underperforming creatives and newsletters are removed from the program and new ones are added to test. And the goal is to scale the advertiser's program over time using optimized CPC pricing to hit their performance goal on average and consistently adding in new newsletters and creative to test as well. So newsletters, we know newsletter sponsorships impact every stage in the purchase funnel, from awareness to engagement and conversion. However, for brands that are focused on bottom funnel conversion events, and especially those with higher price points, right, AKA lower conversion rates, you often need to spend hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars to gauge the effectiveness of a single newsletter relative to your bottom funnel goal, right? So if your conversion rate is 1% on average, if a newsletter drives 100 to 150 clicks, you might not expect to see any conversions after just one mailing. And so you might have to sponsor that same newsletter 2, 3, 4, 5 times in order to gather enough data, right, to know if that newsletter is effective or not. And with only 2 in 10 newsletters likely coming close to hitting your goal, that can lead to a lot of wasted spend in the channel. So Wellput uses what we call full funnel optimization to reduce your wasted spend and focus your dollars on viable newsletters more quickly. And the way that we do that is we use upper funnel signals, such as clicks on a button on your landing page, or email signups, or add to carts, right, and other events, to quickly identify and eliminate underperforming newsletters, even after just one mail-in. So over time, we shift to lower funnel metrics such as conversions and ROAS to optimize CPC pricing for those viable newsletters we identify. And eventually, optimization is based entirely on lower funnel performance. But we use full funnel optimization to really reduce that wasted spend during testing so that we can more quickly and effectively shift their dollars to the things that are already working.
Amazing. And you mentioned that you work with all the major networks, affiliate networks out there and platforms. Is this tracking, the conversion tracking and all of these steps in the funnel, are they being tracked through that platform or through your platform?
So it depends. If they are set up to track upper funnel events, middle funnel events, in their affiliate tracking platforms, great. Like we can pull that data directly from their platform. We have relationships with a lot of these platforms. So if they're not currently set up to track upper funnel events, for example, we can help them get that set up through their platform, through their account manager. Alternatively, we also have the ability to track via a pixel or a postback. So there's lots of different options. And based on the client's needs, we can basically customize a solution to track full funnel.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's not easy. I would say that tracking is probably the hardest part of our job on a day-to-day basis, right? Just making sure that we're getting all of the event data that we need to effectively optimize.
Yeah, and I guess that would bring into like why you're working with the main networks out there, because if a program's on a smaller platform, private platform, it might not have the dynamic tracking that you guys need to have all that visibility.
The other side of that coin is they tend to be more flexible in terms of making changes and getting things done there.
Okay, good call.
Yeah. So this is the typical arc of how these campaigns look. In the beginning, 100% of the advertiser's budget is spent on testing. Over time, budget shifts to newsletters with optimized CPC pricing to hit their performance goal. And what's cool about this is, typically after just a few months, we've identified a large pool of viable newsletters that we can run with at optimized CPC prices to hit the advertiser's performance goal. Then it's really up to the advertiser to kind of dictate how they want their campaign to grow and expand. So if the advertiser is really intent on hitting their bottom funnel performance goal, then we can simply reduce the amount of budget allocated to testing and focus, up to 100% of their budget on optimized spend, which we expect to hit their performance goal. Alternatively, if the advertiser has, a big sale coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming up, right? And they want to really accelerate on the testing spend so that they can build an even larger pool of viable newsletters, then we can do that as well, right? We just shift budget to testing, find more viable newsletters, and then coming into the holidays, we have a really large pool of viable newsletters to work with. So the advertiser has a lot of control. Does that make sense?
Yeah, following along. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so lots of different, pricing options available depending on a client's need. Packages start at as little as $5,000 a month, and they go up to $20,000 a month or more. And it really does depend on how quickly the advertiser wants to generate learnings and how much risk they're comfortable with. But smaller packages, we're going to start with small and mid-sized newsletters. We're going to test between 10 and 20 newsletters a month. And again, if 20% rule is true, then we'd expect, 2 to 4 viable newsletters to be identified each month. And so typically we ask an advertiser to give us 3 months to both prove that we can find viable newsletters and also that we can optimize the CPC rates with those viable newsletters to hit their goal and prove that we can hit their goal on average. So
excellent.
Yeah, we asked for 3 months. Yep.
I've spent $5,000 on much worse in terms of,
haven't we all?
Yeah. In terms of guarantees, I know that's not a thing in this world necessarily, but I love the risk management of this campaign and what you guys are doing with AI and developing a learning system for each brand and developing with the brand to make a better customer success rate, essentially. And do you guys have any guarantees in that aspect of like what a brand can expect with a 3-month campaign?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest guarantee that I can make is that there is no better way to test newsletter sponsorships as a channel for a performance marketer than through Wellput. There's no way to buy newsletter sponsorships at scale and do it efficiently and with limited risk the way that Wellput has constructed these programs. So that's the biggest thing. And then the second one is, of course, you know, we ask for 3 months to prove these things out, but we don't hold people into contracts. So
Okay.
if after a month we haven't identified any viable newsletters, then we fully expect advertisers to cancel.
Good to go. Is that it for the presentation there, Greg?
Yeah, that's all.
All right, we'll close that one out. One thing about the CPC, you mentioned it's variable depending on the publication or the size of the newsletter. What can we expect for a range there?
So for B2B campaigns, keep in mind ours is a max CPC bid model. So max CPC rates can be anywhere from, on the low end, $3 to as high as $10 per click. With consumer campaigns, I would say max CPC is $3 is pretty typical. And usually the average CPC is about 2/3 of the max. So if you set the max CPC at $3, the average CPC will be around $2.
Okay, excellent. That's very doable. And in terms of maybe an average order value, do you find a sweet spot with any kind of brands? Like in my mind, this feels like $150 AOV, but maybe I'm way off.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because we've been running campaigns recently with lower AOV products like Truly Free Home
Yes.
is a cool brand. They make products for laundry detergent that's healthy and environmentally friendly and good for your family. And their average order value is, I think, $40, but their conversion rate is so high and their renewal rate is so high. They get people to come back and purchase again and again that they're able to make the economics work. Obviously, at a $2 cost per click, you need a higher AOV product or a higher conversion rate to make that work.
Excellent. Yeah, love Orlando and Brittany and the team over there at Truly Free. I think I might even send them your way in the past. So those guys are great. Shout out to them. All right, as we wrap this up, what's a bet? Oh, I want to ask, you guys have an affiliate program yourself for both sides of the equation?
Have a referral program. You can up through the wellput.io website.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
And how do we get
publishers?
Great. And what's the best way to get a hold of you or your team here?
Yeah, so best way to do it is just go to wellput.io. If you're a publisher, you can sign up for our wait list. If you're a brand, you can contact us through our form on the website. I am also present on LinkedIn. I post just about every day about newsletter sponsorship, but also about entrepreneurs, kind of my passion. I also write a weekly newsletter called the Newsletter Sponsorship Insider that you can subscribe to. Hive platform, it's nsi.beehive.com. And yeah, those are all good ways.
Outstanding. And I'm going to leave my own personal referral link in the description below. So if you'd like to support me and my content making addiction, please do by clicking through my link. Craig, appreciate it.
I love what you do. And yeah, please do sign up for Wellput through Dustin's link so that he can continue to offer this great content.
Awesome, Craig. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your time. And let's do some more together.
I appreciate you, Dustin. Thank you.
All right. That's it. Keep on recruiting, folks, and take care. Listening to Affiliate Nerd Out.